like straightforward. I just think I hear him in my head all the time. I think he's great. I think Billy Sheehan was fantastic. Dave and I had a blast with Billy Sheehan. He is just a sweetheart of a guy, and really,
and he's like a straight shooter.
Yeah,
he's got great info,
right?
Like great detail, solid memory, and that's the kind of stuff that Dave and I eat up.
Right. And there was an interview I did with Sammy. Dave wasn't on this call because we couldn't do it, but the Sammy call that I did with him, I think I got a lot of interesting stuff out of him. And I always say that people should go back and listen to that interview because there is some stuff in there that he has never said before, and he's very open and honest. Sammy is a crazy nice guy, like a fun, upbeat, positive, sweet, nice guy, but also very straightforward. Sometimes he exaggerates some numbers, but he's right. Fun. So that was great.
The Stuttering John interview,
that was crazy.
We just did. I think that had to be one of the funnest interviews we ever did.
The best, I think it's in the episode. The best was when you came in and schooled John. That was my favorite part of the interview. We're doing the interview, and John's like, "What are you doing, Cribble? You're like doing an interview." And you're like, "John." He's prepared questions. We're doing an interview on a podcast. Like, what the fuck is your problem?
But you know what? But he was just so cool with everything. Like, the back and forth was just such that you could be like that.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, quite frankly, you knew he wasn't going to hang up.
No. He's John, look. I have interviewed John years ago, and he's a very cool guy. He is so roll with the punches. John has been through it all. I mean, he got tortured by Howard. I mean, like, real ball breaking. So John has been through a lot. So he knows what he's doing. He can really work on his feet. He's fantastic. Number 7, are there any that you weren't happy with, and which one and why? There wasn't any episodes that I was unhappy with. But I have to say, sometimes... you wish people that you interview were a little more giving or, maybe a little more upfront with stuff or sometimes remembered more stuff or, stuff like that. But everybody was great. I know everybody's going to point to the whole Joel Selvin interview about the Red. Right. I'm not even disappointed in that because I think Joel was very honest and straightforward in the interview. And I think even the way it ended, even though it ended abruptly, it had a little drama to it. So I thought it was fine. I have no problem with it. And I have nothing against Joel whatsoever. He did a good job on the book, and I'm glad that he came on, and it was a fun episode. So what about you, Dave? Anything you weren't happy with? Most of the time, Dave is unhappy with me. That's something I did. Like, he's like, will you stop talking about me grabbing Eddie Money's wife's ass?
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I had to put a stop to that.
You had to put a stop to that.
I had to put a stop to that. Well, again, because we all had
It wasn't true. It wasn't true. It wasn't true.
And that, no, it wasn't true at all. No. But then people started writing in, like, thinking it was. And that's when I had to draw the line and be like, okay, you need to stop joking around.
Right. It was getting out of control.
And we have day jobs.
Right.
And, like, the worst nightmare is that, somebody listens and goes, you did what?
Right, no, you don't need that.
You did what to Mrs. Money? No, I didn't do anything. I swear. So
yeah, right.
It's all good.
Yeah,
and,
it is, yeah.
I can't think of a better person to do a podcast with, so thank you,
so
sir.
Sweet, very sweet. So now, number 8, if given the chance, who you most want to interview? Now, here's the thing. Everybody thinks I'm going to say Eddie or Dave or this and that. Actually, there's other people I would rather interview. Let me tell you why, because you get a better interview. Other people on the side, I think, are more interesting. I would love to interview Pete Angelis, for sure. I would love to interview Michael Anthony, of course. Don Landy, Ted Templeman. These are the people that I would really like to interview. And you know what? I would really, really love to interview Wolf about his new album. I really, really do. And I don't want to ask him stupid questions. I am not interested in bullshit, stupid things about, just asking him questions about his dad. I want to really interview him about his album and his music and his whole perspective on things. I really, really do. And I'm going to try for it. I really am. When his album comes out, I don't know if it'll happen or not, but I'm going to try because I think he is an interesting character, and I think he's a really talented character. and I hope that comes through. What about you, Dave? Anybody you have in mind?
I would love to interview Mike, not just because he's a member of the band,
right?
But I think you'll get the most straight shooting answers from him.
Right.
He's not going to tell you everything that you want to know, but you'll get close enough. As far as band members go, I think other peripheral people around the band, like I'd love to talk to Pete Angelus, for example.
Yep.
Or Don Landy.
Yep.
I'd love to talk to Don Landy. People who are really in there and in the weeds. Ted Templeman, I'd love to talk to him all the live long day.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Of course. So, yeah.
There are other podcasts that you enjoy listening to and are faithful listeners of. One of the biggest inspirations for me was Craig and Eric at Pods and Sods, who actually, they don't really do a lot of podcasts together as much as they run the Pods and Sods network and they do their own kind of separate podcast. But I think they're both fantastic and I really enjoy them a lot. So that's for me. Anybody for you, Dave?
I think I've mentioned this before, but I listen to Zilch, which is a Monkees podcast.
And Craig is sometimes on Zilch.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. My podcast listening is intermittent. And you know what the problem is? Since I'm not driving to work anymore, that's when I would listen.
Right.
And I just don't drive much anymore, so I have like a backlog of podcasts.
Exactly. That's true. That's true for me.
To listen to. But that was really as far as because Zilch has really set up a sense of community in the Monkey fandom.
Yeah, that's cool.
And they did that really right away, and I think they really hit the nail on the head in terms of the kind of Monkey fans and what they like and what brings them together.
True.
So I just think they really did a really good job of that. I listen to some other music podcasts as they come along, but that I guess was really the one that if there's anything that was inspirational, that was the one.
Right. And number 10, you have a YouTube channel. Would you ever do your podcast on camera like some others do? No way.
Oh, no. That would mean I'd have to look presentable while recording this.
God, no. We don't want that. So, and he says, I love listening to your podcast, and we haven't missed a single episode. Very much appreciate it. Keep up the great work. Steve Ustick from West Michigan. Okay, Steve, boy, you got quite an interview there, my friend. Okay, so they took you, that was Dave and Dave Unleashed. Behind the scenes. So letter number 9 comes from Mark Bast, and he says, hey, Daves, Mark from Michigan here. I'm a 50-year-old Van Halen nut. What a pleasure to discover your podcast during these crazy trying times. The fact that you have a news segment on a band who makes no news is a feat in and of itself. I discovered the band in 1984 through the Omnipresent Jump video on MTV, and I was blown away and in no time mesmerized by the entire catalog. And in 1984, at age 14, I borrowed my father's Super 8 camera and enlisted my friends to recreate the band's iconic Panama video frame by frame, and I played Dave and my best friend Tim plays Ed, and I thought you might enjoy taking a look. Here's a link. Question. Assuming bands return to touring in summer 2021, no small assumption, I know. What are the chances that Van Halen goes out with Sam and Mike and has Wolf open? 51%? 50%? Higher or lower? Keep cranking them out, fellas. Mark Bast, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Well, I can tell you, Mark, that Dave is cranking it out on a nightly basis, so you don't have to worry about that. And also, to answer your question, I think if touring resumes, we will see David Lee Roth solo, Sammy and the Circle, Extreme, and Wolf solo. But I don't think we're going to see Van Halen. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
And I think the Dave solo will be resuming opening for Kiss.
Yeah, exactly.
On those days.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is exactly where we left off in February.
Right.
So letter number 10 comes from Eric Torbeck, and he says, what up, guys? I heard you talk a few times on the audio difference in Jump from the video to the album, Dave's woo-ha during the solo, and here's what I remember from various interviews. It's likely it was intended to be on the album, and the band filmed the video based on that version, and when the final mix and and pressing of the album was done, it was left out and no one noticed. That seems odd, but we've learned that the band's not always a stickler for details. It had the unintended benefit of making the video even more popular since they never officially released that version of the song and never said why the difference. Then you add the story of how the video only cost $600 and you've got the perfect recipe for a classic video. As Dave would say in his Dave voice, who am I to get in the way of a good rumor with the truth, man? Keep rocking, Eric Torbeck. Oh, well, Eric, I totally agree with you. I think you nailed that perfectly. I think it was a last-minute omission. If you remember, especially according to Greg's book, they were working on that album until the last minute. My guess is that video was probably sent out to MTV and, obviously running on the air before the album was even sent in. So
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I think you totally perfectly explained that, Eric. The video version was already out. They omitted it. Last minute, who cares? No continuity, no one gives a shit. Right. Next letter. And the letter is from Eric Torbeck. He's doing double time. Number 11, Eric Torbeck. Okay.
Double shot Torbeck.
2 for Tuesday. Today is actually Tuesday, so it could be 2 for Tuesday. So, what's up, guys? I was listening to SiriusXM the other day, and a somewhat obscure Scorpion song came on called Holiday, which was released in 1978, but I think it was actually 79, but that's all right. The instrumental outro reminded me of Respect the Wind, the Ed instrumental from Twister soundtrack, especially how its guitar sounds over a simple rhythm, although Ed is playing over a keyboard rhythm. Take a listen and let me know what you think. I'm pretty sure I remember Ed talking about Michael Schenker as an early influence. It certainly quantifies as a homage, as you like to say. P.S. The fact that Joel hung up on you just proves you did an excellent interview and hit home on some great points. Keep rocking, Eric Torbeck from New Jersey. Well, thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. Well, here is a clip from the Scorpions' Holiday. Now here is a clip of Ed and Al's Respect the Wind. Dave, why is Al considered on that track, by the way? Is he playing keyboards now?
Yes.
He is?
Yes. Really? You didn't know that?
I that's why I said that, because I think I knew it in the back of my head. But why would Al play keyboards?
That's
just
Ed what they were doing for the song.
That's kind of so weird, huh? All right, well, I guess they both grew up playing piano, so I did know that in the back of my head. That's why I said that. But so anyway, yeah, I think there's definitely a similar vibe there for sure. But Eddie, he's playing electric guitar, and there's keyboards, and it's an instrumental. I never heard Ed speak about Schenker, but the chords are close. But there's definitely, they both feel different because Holiday is a song, Respect the Wind is more of a score. So, There's definitely similarities there, though. What do you think, Dan?
I don't know if it's a direct influence or it's just a coincidence. Because there's so much music out there that, eventually you're bound to find parts of songs that sound alike. Because, there's only so many notes you can put together. There's only so many chords